She will never see her dad again for the rest of her life. She is 6 and has been through more than most adults I know.
Now at 5 o'clock, a family grieving and seeking justice. They want the man accused of killing their loved one caught. Thank you for joining us. I'm Laurel Porter. It has been months since Johnny Polenko died, and his alleged killer is still out there. Here is Christelle Kumwe.
More than 70 people have been killed so far during a historically violent year in Portland.
It's not going to fall to the side as a statistic.
30-year-old Johnny Polenko was the city's 60th homicide, but his family wants you to remember him as a brother, father, fiancé, and friend to those who knew him.
His heart was full of joy and fun and laughter.
Polenko was shot and killed in the parking lot of a convenience store back in August.
76 days. Every day I wake up and I don't even know what day it is because it's just another day. 76 days that I don't have a world anymore. I'm lost.
His fiancée, Katie Moline, was with him that night.
I went home with his blood on my clothes by myself.
Friday, friends and family gathered at the site of his murder at Southeast 92nd Avenue and Holgate Boulevard, which still has a memorial for Polenko.
My 6-year-old's heart is shattered. Her daddy did not get to take her to her first day of school this year. He did not get to take her trick-or-treating. He does not get to tuck her in at night. He won't be here for Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Portland police identified 2 suspects in Polenko's murder, 18-year-old Leonard Edwards and 19-year-old Deshandra Rayford. Police say Rayford turned herself in, but Edwards is still wanted.
Johnny deserves justice.
Justice for Johnny.
I can't go another 76 days of this. I just want justice now.
Even as gun violence rises in the city, there's hope justice can be brought to homicide victims and their families.
I want my daughter, Savannah, to know that this person was caught and that that's not okay, and growing up in life that you will not ever get away with something like that.
The family and police are asking for the public for any information that could lead to Leonard Edwards, who is wanted for second-degree murder. In Southeast Portland, I'm Christelle Kumwe for KGW News.
And now to a public safety alert from the Drug Enforcement Administration. Be on the lookout for fake pills laced with fentanyl. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid significantly stronger than morphine. Over the last year, the DEA in our region has seen, listen to this, they've seen a 275% increase in seizure of counterfeit pills containing fentanyl. We're told these pills are manufactured out of a state or country, then trafficked into the community.
One pill can kill, and that's why it's so important that if you're seeking pain relief and you're going the route of opioids, is you need to go see a physician. You need to get whatever your pain relief is, you need to get it from a doctor and a pharmacist, not off the street.
Cam Strom says 40% of the pills the DEA lab tests contain a lethal dose of fentanyl, a terrifying statistic for those using, experimenting, or staving off addiction. It's a goodbye to a local hero and public servant. This morning, Forest Grove Fire held a procession and public memorial for Captain Rick Ilg. He spent decades serving both Metro West Ambulance and Forest Grove Fire and Rescue. After a battle with brain cancer, he passed away peacefully in his home in September. Firefighters have a higher risk of cancer because they're exposed to carcinogens when a home burns. Therefore, this is considered a death in the line of duty. Captain Ilg is survived by a wife and daughter. The city of Portland announced a new COVID vaccine requirement today. Soon, vendors, consultants, and contractors who work at indoor city facilities will need to be vaccinated. This requirement starts January 3rd. And starting November 8th, next week, these workers will have to wear fit-tested KN95 masks until the vaccine requirement takes effect. This will impact about 2,500 workers. It has been a tough year for Oregon restaurants and tourist businesses, you know that. But now we do have some good news, at least long term. The employment department says the leisure and hospitality industry will be the fastest growing in Oregon over the next decade. Bryant Clerkley joins us now with the details on that. Bryant.
Hey, Laurel, the department says in the next 10 years, over 70,000 jobs will be added to this sector. The issue is it's going to be hard for employers to fill all these positions, according to a local economist.
Our projections are for 10 years, 46% growth rate for leisure hospitality.
That's thousands of new jobs in leisure and hospitality within the next decade, most of which were lost during the pandemic. From 2009 to 2019, the industry grew by 31%, according to Bechtold, at a time when the labor market was not as tight.
And we saw that leisure hospitality and other sectors in the economy have been hardly hit by the pandemic. And I think that's going to be a challenge for the employers.
How we survived is still a question that I'm still trying to figure out the answer to.
Over at Anna Banana's Coffee House and Cafe in Northwest Portland, owner Rend Klemp says they almost had to close last year. He's recovering now, and unlike some businesses struggling to find employees, he's had a lot of applicants recently, but he's cautious about hiring.
The business isn't there still. We have supply cost issues, driving up the cost of supplies, pressure on keeping our prices down to the consumer.
The Oregon Employment Department says 10 out of the 20 fastest growing jobs are in leisure and hospitality. Those include cooks, chefs, bartenders, and waitresses. These projections come from the data compiled by economists. As people start to feel safer returning to normal life, the demand will only get higher. Klemp says the industry will never be the same after COVID.
To say that we're going to be a fast-growing sector of the economy, again, you're relying, I think that whoever is saying that is relying on the old ways, not realizing that we're in a totally different new world.
Yes, we are. Okay, so Brian, the Oregon Employment Department says job growth will happen in all sectors, but what are some other areas high on the list?
Well, Laurel, private healthcare is the second fastest growing industry. Economists expect 51,000 jobs to be added in the next decade. That's almost 20% growth. Experts say private healthcare will be more in demand because of Oregon's aging population and longer life expectancies. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Bryant. Developing tonight, the Newberg Teachers Union is suing over the ban on political images in school. The lawsuit is against the district and the 4 school board members who voted for the policy. The union says the policy violates constitutional rights. The policy narrowly passed and started as a ban on LGBTQ pride and Black Lives Matter flags and posters. It was amended to cover images, quote, relating to a political, quasi-political, or controversial topic. The ban received pushback from the Newberg community, Democratic leaders in Oregon, and even got national attention. Today, we reached out to the school board for comment on the lawsuit, but didn't receive a reply. Take a look at this. It's a big cleanup. This is in Northwest Portland. Look what happened. A tree fell right onto the roof of a home in the West Hills. This is just off Burnside. The good news here, nobody was hurt. Our photographer shooting this video says, and this is really sad, the owner recently bought the house, and then that happens. Portland Fire and Northwest Natural checked to make sure everything is structurally safe and no gas lines were damaged. Oregon and Washington are moving forward with a plan to replace the Interstate Bridge. As the project enters its second year of planning, everyone will have a chance to weigh in. Chris McGinnis explains how.
Doing nothing is just unacceptable for this area.
A century-old interstate bridge, built on wooden piers, now carries 143,000 cars and $71 million of commerce daily. It's doomed to fail when a major Cascadia subduction zone earthquake happens. The daily impact? Bridge lifts that stop everyone for 20 minutes at a time, and rush hour traffic choked for miles.
We've done surveys, we've talked to people, and most folks recognize this thing has been talked about for almost a quarter of a century, and nothing has happened.
Nearly a decade after the original Columbia River crossing project sank, Interstate Bridge Replacement Program Administrator Greg Johnson says there's broad support. At the heart of the decision-making process this time, equity and climate change.
We have created a principal equity officer for the program.
There are 24 community members in the Equity Advisory Group. They weigh in on topics like program impacts on the local community and accessibility for every bridge user. The program also assigned a principal climate officer to focus planning for things like sea level rise, reducing carbon emissions, and incorporating efficient mass transit, along with greener building methods during construction.
We are going to have specifications that require contractors to have cleaner equipment. By the time we get started, we think that there will be room to say a certain percentage of your fleet, Mr. Contractor, has to be a cleaner energy source rather than fossil fuels.
Throughout November, there are a series of online open houses. The public is able to ask questions and see the planning progress. An online survey will go live later next week. That feedback will be viewed through many lenses.
We have to thread the needle and make sure that we don't let a perfect solution be the enemy of a very good solution.
Chris McGinnis, KGW News.